Hey GLS fam! Loving the content? Help keep the good vibes flowing by subscribing. Or, if you're feeling extra awesome, send a super thanks. Or buy me a coffee using the link below. Your support means the world to me, and every bit helps me create more of the stories you love. Thank you for being amazing, and stay tuned for even more goodness coming your way soon. Love you always. Chapter 50. Erin sat at her desk late at night, the faint glow of her computer screen lighting the room. Papers were scattered beside her keyboard as she slowly typed and searched for answers. Her cat sat nearby on the desk, watching her with curious eyes. Erin carefully typed another question into the search bar. What does it mean when your heart races for someone? Several results appeared on the screen. The first panel explained that a racing heart could simply be anxiety or panic disorder caused by the release of hormones like adrenaline and dopamine. Another panel suggested it might be related to underlying heart conditions such as arrhythmia or tachycardia. Erin narrowed her eyes as she read. Then another article caught her attention. 5 reasons you feel anxious around someone. Sometimes the heart knows what the mind refuses to acknowledge. Erin immediately frowned. She quietly denied it to herself, insisting that none of that applied to her. She told herself that she already understood exactly what she was feeling. Her eyes drifted further down the page. Someone in the comment section had posted a question that sounded strangely similar to her own situation, asking others for their opinions. Beside the keyboard, her cat stared at the screen as if silently judging her while she continued scrolling. Suddenly, an advertisement popped up. It asked if she had considered taking a short quiz that could provide insight and prompts for self-reflection. Erin stared at it in confusion. After a moment of hesitation, she clicked on it. The quiz began immediately. The first question appeared on the screen. How often do you think about this person? Erin casually selected the option that said she occasionally thought about that person from time to time. She leaned back in her chair, unimpressed. Another question appeared. When you have a disagreement or conflict with this person, how do you react? Erin chose the answer stating that it deeply affected her and that she wanted to resolve the issue and preserve the relationship. She continued answering without much thought. The 5th question appeared. How do you behave around this person? Erin selected the option saying that she acted somewhat differently and often felt unsure about how to behave around them. She clicked through the next few questions quickly. Then the 10th question appeared. How do you feel when that person shows affection or attention to someone else? Erin suddenly stopped. Her hand hovered over the mouse. For the first time since starting the quiz, she couldn't choose an answer. Her cat blinked slowly beside her as if waiting for the outcome. At Jisoo's apartment, Jisoo sat beside Yunha, completely focused on the screen. Across the room, loud sound effects from a video game echoed through Jisoo's apartment. Her eyebrows lifted in concentration as she controlled her character. On the screen, Yunha's character appeared in front of her. Jisoo smirked slightly. In her mind, she imagined that Yunha's character was actually Erin. Jisoo loudly declared that look who it is, the one who doesn't even have her phone number. Yunha's character tried to move as if explaining something, but Jisoo's character suddenly delivered a flying kick, knocking her across the screen. Jisoo announced that she should get out of her life. Yunha raised an eyebrow while still concentrating on the game. She told Jisoo that she honestly could not believe she had still been so nice to Erin. Yunha added that she thought the two of them were supposed to be close friends. She said it was unfair how Erin had treated her. Yunha continued, explaining that Jisoo could not keep sacrificing her own happiness for someone who clearly did not care about her. Jisoo kept playing for a moment before replying. She admitted that after thinking about it more, she felt like something deeper might be going on with Erin. Yunha glanced at her with concern. She gently told Jisoo that instead of constantly trying to understand Erin, she should ask herself whether that was the kind of relationship she actually deserved. Jisoo shrugged slightly. She said she did not know, but Erin had always found a way to keep her distance from her. She asked why Jisoo kept trying to make excuses for Erin. Jisoo went quiet. The game continued playing on the screen, but her attention slowly faded. After a moment, she carefully set her controller down. She spoke more softly now. Jisoo said that when she and Aaron had finally become friends, she thought maybe things would change. She admitted that maybe she had just been fooling herself the entire time. Yoonha looked at her carefully, listening. Jisoo continued calmly. She said that she had always believed that if she held on long enough, Aaron would eventually realize how much she liked her. Her voice shifted slightly as she folded her arms. Jisoo explained that she had seen the worst sides of Aaron. She had been there when Aaron lost her temper. She had been there when Aaron cried. Jisoo had witnessed everything. Because of that, she believed Aaron might be going through struggles of her own. Yoonha shook her head. She disagreed firmly. Whether Aaron had personal issues or not, Yoonha said that it still did not justify treating someone like a game. Jisoo looked at her quietly and slowly nodded. Then she turned away and looked down. She admitted that Aaron had always sent her mixed signals. After a moment, Jisoo gently leaned her head against Yoonha's shoulder. Her voice softened as she said that someday she would forget everything about Aaron. On Aaron's side, back in Aaron's room, the computer screen suddenly flashed brightly. A large message appeared across the screen. "Congratulations. You love her." Aaron stared at the words. Her eyes widened in complete disbelief. Her face slowly twisted into a deep frown. Then she suddenly collapsed backward onto the floor, as if her soul had just left her body. She lay there motionless, staring blankly at the ceiling. Beside her, the cat simply sat and looked down at her in silent judgment. Chapter 51. Jisoo and Aaron never spoke again after what had happened at Jisoo's apartment. Days passed in an uneasy silence between them. Jisoo eventually convinced herself that Aaron had simply lost interest in using her as a source of amusement. She could not tell whether Aaron's sudden distance was out of anger or some strange consideration for her feelings. But at the very least, Aaron had stopped appearing unexpectedly. Unlike before, she no longer intruded into Jisoo's time with Yoonha. In a strange way, Jisoo thought it might have been a blessing in disguise. If things continued like this, maybe their problems would simply disappear on their own. Inside the counselor's office, Ji-hyun stood across from Aaron, studying her carefully. She gently asked if something had been bothering her lately. Ji-hyun mentioned that Aaron had seemed distant recently, especially when it came to Jisoo. Aaron quickly brushed the concern aside. She casually replied that Jisoo had simply become too clingy. She added that Ji-hyun already knew her. According to Aaron, she had only told Jisoo that she needed some space. Ji-hyun looked slightly puzzled. She admitted that she thought the two of them had been getting along well and asked what had changed. Aaron's expression turned colder. She simply replied that things had become complicated. Ji-hyun looked concerned and asked if Aaron wanted to talk about it. After a moment of hesitation, Aaron admitted that she did not know what to do. She explained that she had always thought of Jisoo as nothing more than a friend. But now Jisoo seemed to want something more serious. Ji-hyun frowned slightly in confusion. She wondered if that was why Aaron had suddenly built a wall between them. Then Ji-hyun spoke more gently. She said that sometimes Aaron seemed afraid of getting hurt or opening up to someone. Ji-hyun added that she understood that Aaron might only be trying to protect herself. Calmly and thoughtfully, Ji-hyun suggested that Aaron try putting herself in Jisoo's position for a moment. She pointed out that Aaron had a habit of pushing people away whenever they got too close. Ji-hyun assured her that Jisoo genuinely cared about her. Cutting her off so abruptly could hurt Jisoo deeply. As Ji-hyun spoke, a sudden image flashed through Aaron's mind. She remembered seeing Ji-hyun and Yoonhee together. Ji-hyun had always been a thoughtful and considerate person, but watching her stand so closely beside Yoonhee had left Aaron feeling strangely uncomfortable. There had been no real reason for the feeling, no deeper meaning behind it. Yet whenever she saw Jisoo with Yoonha, something unpleasant stirred inside her. And strangely enough, whenever she saw Jisoo with Yoonha, she felt the same sudden wave of jealousy. Ji-hyun's voice suddenly broke through her thoughts. She asked, half surprised, whether Aaron had started developing feelings for Jisoo. Aaron immediately looked at her in panic. She raised her voice, insisting that the idea was ridiculous. Under her breath, Aaron muttered dismissively that there was nothing particularly special about Jisoo. Girls like her could be found anywhere. Just then, someone called Jihyun's name from the doorway. Both Aaron and Jihyun turned their heads. Jisoo was standing quietly by the door. Jihyun asked her what had brought her there. Jisoo calmly replied that she was looking for Yoonha. She mentioned that Yoonha had called her earlier. At the sound of Yoonha's name, Aaron's frown deepened. Jihyun nodded and told Jisoo that Yoonha was there. She added that she would go and call her. Jisoo politely thanked her. As soon as Jihyun left the room, the atmosphere immediately grew heavy. Only Jisoo and Aaron remained inside. Neither of them relaxed their guard. They avoided looking at each other completely. For a moment, the room felt unbearably quiet. Aaron eventually stole a glance at Jisoo. Jisoo stood calmly near the door, looking down as she waited for Yoonha to arrive. Then Aaron noticed something. Her eyes narrowed slightly. There was a faint kissing mark on Jisoo's neck. Aaron's eyebrows slowly lifted. A sharp wave of jealousy suddenly rose inside her. She stared at the mark, silently questioning what she was seeing. Without wanting to, Aaron's thoughts began forming an image in her mind. Jisoo and Yoonha together. Aaron immediately tried to push the thought away. She refused to believe that Yoonha could be the one responsible for it. Chapter 52. At the hallway, Yoonha casually reached out and held Jisoo by the neck, her expression full of concern. Jisoo quickly told her not to worry about it and said that earlier. Before she could finish her sentence, Yoonha gently interrupted and suggested that they should talk somewhere else. Behind them, Aaron stood silently. Her eyes were fixed on the two of them. She watched the casual way Yoonha touched Jisoo, the closeness between them. The sight made something twist sharply inside her chest. Aaron bit her lip in frustration. Before she could stop herself, she suddenly rushed forward and grabbed Jisoo's wrist. Jisoo looked startled. Aaron did not say anything as she pulled Jisoo away, gripping her arm firmly and dragging her toward the bathroom. Jisoo's voice immediately rose in confusion and irritation as she demanded that Aaron let go of her and asked what she was doing. She forcefully tried to remove Aaron's hand from her arm, repeatedly telling her to let go. Once they were inside the bathroom, Jisoo turned to her angrily. She demanded to know what Aaron's problem was and why she had dragged her there. Aaron's expression darkened. She snapped back that the problem was Jisoo. She could not believe Jisoo had the audacity to act innocent. Aaron's jealousy quickly rose to the surface as she pointed toward Jisoo's neck. She demanded to know how Jisoo could show up at school with such a visible kissing mark. Her finger hovered accusingly near Jisoo's neck as she told her to look at it herself. Jisoo instinctively tried to cover the mark. She began trying to explain herself, but then suddenly paused. Her brows furrowed in confusion as she asked why everyone seemed so curious about it. Aaron stared at her in disbelief. She bluntly told Jisoo that she was being stupid because anyone who saw such a suspicious mark would obviously ask questions. Then Aaron demanded to know where she had gotten it. Jisoo opened her mouth to explain again, but then stopped herself. Her expression hardened. She told Aaron that she had no intention of sharing that information with her and that it was not as if Aaron cared anyway. Aaron frowned deeply. She asked Jisoo whether it really mattered if she cared or not, especially considering their past relationship, whether as friends or girlfriends. Aaron asked if Jisoo could simply answer the question. Jisoo immediately snapped back that she did not want to answer. Her voice turned sharp as she reminded Aaron that they were not involved in any kind of relationship anymore. She added that they both knew how everything had ended, because Aaron had only pretended to like her. According to Jisoo, the entire thing had only been a game for Aaron. The words struck Aaron hard. Her expression shifted, sadness briefly flashing across her face. Jisoo continued speaking. She asked why it suddenly bothered Aaron now, when she had always looked down on her before. Jisoo admitted that she had never expected their meeting to be pleasant. She asked Aaron to stop feeding her false hope. Aaron looked at her quietly before asking a single question. She wondered if Jisoo was saying that she still liked her. Jisoo froze. For a moment she could not say anything. Then a hollow chuckle escaped her. She looked down for a brief second before lifting her head again. This time her eyes were filled with anger. Jisoo admitted that she still had feelings for Aaron. Her voice trembled slightly as she continued speaking. She said she wished she could claim that she hated Aaron. Jisoo admitted that she had wanted to be angry at her, to lash out, to make Aaron feel the same pain she had been forced to endure. Aaron lowered her gaze. Jisoo continued, saying that Aaron had clearly never intended to return her feelings in the first place. Aaron's fists slowly clenched. Her anger quietly grew. Jisoo asked Aaron if it even made any difference whether she still liked her or not. Jisoo suddenly burst out in anger. She repeatedly shouted that it did not change anything. She reminded Aaron again and again that the person Aaron truly liked was Ji-hyun, not her. Nothing was going to change that. Jisoo's eyes sparkled with emotion as she finished speaking. But before she could say anything else, Aaron suddenly stepped forward. Without warning, Aaron rushed closer and gently kissed her. The kiss was soft, but the tension between them instantly grew heavier. Chapter 53. Jisoo's eyes widened at the sudden action. Aaron slowly tilted her head as she pulled back from the kiss. For a moment, she looked just as surprised as Jisoo. Almost awkwardly, Aaron gently pushed Jisoo away. Both of them froze in place, their faces flushed with embarrassment. Aaron quickly tried to explain herself. She admitted that things between them had become complicated and that her actions might have come across as rude. Jisoo still looked completely stunned. Her eyes were wide as she stared at Aaron. Aaron then told her that there was something she needed to say. Jisoo's legs began trembling slightly as she slowly stepped backward. Aaron started to stutter as she tried to explain. She said she had been feeling strangely confused lately, like she had suddenly realized something. Maybe it was possible that, before Aaron could finish speaking, Jisoo suddenly snapped back to reality. The shock overwhelmed her. She slowly sank down onto the floor, looking confused and panicked. Aaron stared at her, clearly puzzled, and asked what was wrong with her. Jisoo turned her face away and covered her mouth. Her voice trembled as she asked Aaron why she had kissed her when she supposedly liked Ji-hyun. Aaron immediately panicked. She began stuttering before finally blurting out that she had kissed her because she wanted to. Then her expression suddenly shifted to irritation. Aaron demanded to know who had said anything about Ji-hyun and asked why Jisoo kept bringing her up. She added that she only wanted to apologize for how she had behaved in the past. Jisoo slowly raised an eyebrow. Looking shy and uncertain, she began asking if Aaron meant that but the words would not come out. She still could not believe what had just happened. Jisoo continued speaking hesitantly, reminding Aaron that she had just kissed her and asking if that meant. Before she could finish, Aaron suddenly grabbed the front of Jisoo's shirt and pulled her back up to her feet. Panic rushed across Aaron's face. She quickly told Jisoo, almost desperately, that she did not like her. She repeated it again and again. The two of them stood there staring at each other, both blushing awkwardly. Jisoo quietly responded that it was fine. Aaron's expression immediately turned frustrated. She demanded to know what Jisoo meant by fine and insisted that they should not even consider dating each other now. Jisoo looked at her nervously. She replied that she would not date someone who claimed they did not like her. Aaron looked even more irritated, as if struck by lightning. She angrily asked if Jisoo was stupid and demanded to know if she was playing hard to get. Jisoo calmly answered that she simply did not believe Aaron. She said she could not be sure whether Aaron was just trying to fool her again. Aaron's jealousy suddenly resurfaced. She asked if Jisoo was dating Yunha. Jisoo looked confused by the question and immediately said that she was not. The bathroom suddenly fell into an uneasy silence. Aaron quietly turned her face away. Both of them were still sitting on the bathroom floor. After a moment, Aaron grabbed Jisoo by the arm and dragged her toward one of the bathroom cubicles. She pushed the door open and made Jisoo sit down on the toilet seat. Aaron then knelt down in front of her. A faint smirk appeared on her lips as she looked up at Jisoo. In a low voice, she demanded that Jisoo take her clothes off. Chapter 54. At the bathroom cubicle. Jisoo finally spoke, her voice shaky as she asked Aaron if she could stop now. Jisoo looked up nervously on Aaron. She sat nervously on the toilet seat, trying to cover herself while looking down at Aaron. Her face was red with embarrassment. Jisoo told Aaron that she had already gone too far. She asked why Aaron had dragged her into the bathroom like this, and firmly said that she would not take off any more of her clothes. She warned Aaron not to come any closer. Aaron looked irritated. She coldly told Jisoo to shut up because she was starting to annoy her. Jisoo frowned slightly. She told Aaron to stop playing games and just say what she wanted before leaving. Then she raised an eyebrow and nervously added that someone might walk in and catch them. Aaron answered calmly that if that happened, Jisoo would be the one in trouble. Jisoo blinked in confusion. She asked why only she would be in trouble and not Aaron. Jisoo added that if something really happened, Aaron could just come with her and face the consequences together. She replied that she had nothing to be embarrassed about because it was not as if she was planning to do anything disgraceful or treat Jisoo like a meal. She reminded Jisoo that she had undressed herself and said that she had not even laid a finger on her. Jisoo quickly covered her mouth and looked down nervously. Then Aaron pointed at the mark on Jisoo's neck. She asked if Jisoo thought it was cool to walk around school showing something like that. Jisoo looked confused, still holding her arms across her chest. Aaron pointed again. She told Jisoo that she could only see one kissing mark. Jisoo tried to make sense of what Aaron was saying. A teasing tone slipped into her voice as she asked what it had to do with Aaron even if there were more. Aaron's eyes narrowed in irritation. She asked Jisoo if she wanted to get punched. Jisoo immediately sat up straight. She nervously said that Aaron was violent, which was exactly why she had listened when Aaron told her to remove her shirt. Then she hesitated before awkwardly asking if Aaron could stop making her do things she did not want to do. Aaron leaned closer. Her expression softened slightly as she quietly apologized. Aaron repeated the apology again in a teasing tone. Jisoo looked confused. Then she admitted that she only wanted to know if there were more marks like that on Jisoo's body. Jisoo began sweating nervously. She quickly explained that it had only been a small accident. Aaron gently grabbed both of Jisoo's arms and looked at her seriously. She demanded that Jisoo say it was just a bug bite. Jisoo blinked in confusion. She told Aaron that it was not a bug bite. Jisoo started to explain that it had something to do with a friend, but then she suddenly stopped herself. She brushed it off and told Aaron that it would be better if she did not know. Aaron looked even more curious. She demanded to know why she should not know and insisted that Jisoo tell her quickly. Before she could finish speaking, a soft voice suddenly echoed from outside the bathroom. Someone was calling Jisoo's name. Both of them froze. Yoonha slowly entered the restroom, her voice cautious, as she called out for Jisoo. She mentioned that she thought she had heard Jisoo's voice earlier, but was not completely sure. Aaron turned her head when she heard footsteps approaching. The sound grew closer. Then suddenly an idea appeared in Aaron's mind. A faint smirk slowly formed on her lips. She leaned closer to Jisoo and quietly whispered for her to stay silent and play along. Outside, Yoonha slowly walked further inside the bathroom. Her footsteps gradually approached the last cubicle where Aaron and Jisoo were hiding. Aaron leaned closer to Jisoo's ear. In a teasing whisper, she warned that if Jisoo did not cooperate, she would let Yoonha know that the two of them were inside together. Before Jisoo could react, Aaron pressed her soft lips against Jisoo's neck. Jisoo froze. Aaron slowly moved lower, her lips brushing against Jisoo's skin. Jisoo remained silent, her face burning red. The tension between them grew hotter. Then Aaron gently bit Jisoo's shoulder near her neck. Outside the cubicle, Yoonha had already reached the final stall. She stood quietly in front of the door. For a moment she simply stared at it, sensing that someone was inside. Chapter 55. Aaron leaned closer and softly whispered into Jisoo's ear, telling her not to answer Yoonha. Just beyond the thin door, Yoonha's voice called out. She asked if the person inside the cubicle was Jisoo. Jisoo froze. Aaron gently held Jisoo's face, her fingers firm yet careful, silently urging her to stay quiet. Jisoo stood there for a moment, gripping Aaron's shirt tightly as if trying to steady herself. Then Jisoo finally answered, her voice trembling slightly as she admitted that she was there. Aaron's expression immediately darkened with irritation. She had told Jisoo not to respond. Without warning, Aaron lifted her hand and pressed her thumb against Jisoo's lips, slowly parting them. Her thumb brushed across Jisoo's lower lip, tracing it lightly. Jisoo's face flushed instantly. Stunned and flustered, she whispered for Aaron to stop. Outside the cubicle, Yunha's voice shifted with confusion and growing concern. She asked Jisoo what was wrong, mentioning that she had heard strange noises earlier. Yunha stepped closer to the door, clearly worried. Inside, Jisoo tried to answer, but her words came out in broken pieces. She stuttered and struggled to form a proper explanation. Yunha's worry deepened as she asked again what was wrong. Jisoo quickly said that she was just fixing her makeup. A brief pause followed before Yunha let out a small breath of relief. She admitted that Jisoo had scared her for a moment because her voice sounded strange. Then Yunha asked why Jisoo had been whispering. Jisoo tried to explain again, but her voice kept faltering. Her face burned with embarrassment as she pushed Aaron's hand away from her face. Panicking, she quickly told Yunha that she had seen a bug and didn't like it. She added that she was thankful it wasn't a spider. Jisoo then softly called Yunha's name. Outside, Yunha leaned one hand against the cubicle door as she responded. Jisoo forced another excuse, saying that she was on her period. Right in front of her, Aaron stood silently watching her. Jisoo continued the lie, saying that her stomach was hurting badly. She asked if Yunha happened to have a painkiller and if she could take a tablet. Yunha leaned closer to the door, pressing her ear slightly against it. Her eyebrows lifted in confusion as she answered that she did have some medicine with her. She asked if the pain was really that bad. Jisoo quietly confirmed that it was. Yunha then told her to wait for a moment and said she would be right back. A moment later, Yunha hurried away to get the pill. The sound of the restroom door closing echoed faintly. Suddenly, everything became quiet. Jisoo immediately pushed Aaron back and told her that Yunha had already left, ordering her to move away. Aaron hesitated, her brows slightly furrowed. But instead of stepping back, she suddenly grabbed Jisoo's shirt and pulled her closer. Her eyes sharpened as she demanded to know why Jisoo had not listened to her. Aaron reminded her that she had clearly told Jisoo not to answer. She started to say that Yunha had almost found them. Before she could finish, Jisoo grabbed Aaron's wrist tightly. Her voice rose sharply as she shouted for Aaron to get away from her. Aaron stared at her in shock, asking what she meant. Jisoo suddenly shoved her hard and repeated the words again and again, telling her to get away. Without another word, Jisoo turned and began walking away. Behind her, Aaron called out her name loudly, asking where she was going. Jisoo did not stop. Panic filled Aaron's voice as she rushed after her, quickly apologizing. She caught up and grabbed Jisoo's wrist, asking why she was running away. Jisoo turned back and slapped Aaron's hand away. Her voice rang out as she shouted for Aaron not to touch her. Aaron froze where she stood. The shock left her unable to say anything. She stared at Jisoo in confusion before finally asking what was wrong with her. Aaron started to say that she had already apologized. Jisoo cut her off before she could finish. Her voice rose with anger as she told Aaron to stop saying sorry when she barely meant it. Jisoo said Aaron was so wrapped up in her own fantasy that she failed to notice the shame Jisoo had felt earlier when Yunha spoke to her. She continued, saying it had been obvious that she had not enjoyed the situation at all. Jisoo then demanded to know what had stopped Aaron from respecting her feelings. Aaron frowned deeply, trying to defend herself. She said she had never meant to make Jisoo feel that way. Jisoo replied without hesitation that she already had. Aaron tried to explain again. She said it was because Jisoo had refused to tell her whether the hickey on her neck had come from Yunha. Aaron added that if Jisoo had not talked to Yunha earlier, she would not have had to. Jisoo interrupted her once more. Her eyes hardened as she asked who Aaron thought she was to interfere like that. Then Jisoo asked if that was the reason Aaron had kissed her. Her voice turned colder as she questioned whether Aaron simply could not stand the thought of someone else taking away her toy. Aaron stared at her in shock, completely confused. She stuttered, insisting that she had never meant it that way. Jisoo responded coldly that Aaron's actions had been shouting exactly that. She fell silent immediately, her eyes widening slightly as the accusation sank in. Then Jisoo said something that hurt even more. She said that she hated her. The words struck Aaron like lightning. Aaron's face froze, wounded by the words. Jisoo forced a faint smile, though it was clear that she was both upset and hurt. She told Aaron that if she had never been sincere, then she should never have made Jisoo look forward to anything. With that, Jisoo walked past her. Aaron remained frozen where she stood. Slowly, the meaning of Jisoo's words began to sink in. As Jisoo walked away, she felt strangely numb, as if she were floating through the hallway without feeling anything at all. Behind her, Aaron lowered her head. The thought echoed painfully in her mind. Jisoo hates me. Aaron quickly turned and tried to call out Jisoo's name. But Jisoo was already gone. The hallway felt empty. Aaron's legs suddenly gave out beneath her, and she collapsed onto the floor. She hugged her knees tightly, her body trembling. Quietly, she told herself that she did not like this feeling. Covering her face with both hands, Aaron asked herself what was wrong with her. She felt overwhelmed and upset. She could not believe what she had just done. Everything felt ruined now. She had been the one who initiated the kiss, yet instead of fixing anything, she had only made Jisoo's pain worse. Aaron slowly turned her face away, hesitating as she wiped the sweat and tears from her cheek. In a quiet, shaky voice, she told herself that all of this had to stop. 3 days later, the morning was calm and warm. Sunlight filtered gently through the leaves of the tall trees surrounding the school grounds. A soft breeze moved through the branches, carrying the quiet sounds of nature. Jisoo walked slowly along the path outside the building, passing beneath the shade of the trees. Her steps were steady, but her thoughts seemed distant. Suddenly, someone called her name loudly from behind. Jisoo stopped. Confused, she turned around. Aaron was running toward her. Her steps were hurried, almost desperate. When she finally reached Jisoo, she stopped just a few inches away, slightly bent forward as she tried to catch her breath. Her chest rose and fell quickly from the run. In her hand, she held a small card. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The air between them felt tense and uncertain. Then Aaron slowly extended her hand and gave the card to Jisoo. Her fingers trembled slightly. Gathering her courage, Aaron finally spoke. She told Jisoo that she liked her. The moment felt strangely familiar, as if history had begun repeating itself. Thanks for listening to GL Stories. We love hearing from you. Drop a comment below and let us know what you thought of today's story. Your feedback helps us create even better content. Don't forget to like, share, and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to turn on notifications so you're the first to catch our new episodes. See you in our next stories.